got there, everyone had to pay money to Social Security. But then see patients, and they would not allow us to actually get the reimbursement.
We started to think about this meeting in 1998, soon after the conference, the first European conference on emergency medicine of the European Society for Emergency Medicine.
We were organizing a course, a residential course in Italy of emergency medicine in 1999, because we had not the specialty in emergency medicine in Italy. And we invited several teachers from US and from Europe.
One of them was Antoine Casi, that we invited to come to teach in our course.
Was working at the UCI in Los Angeles, Irvine, and was one of the officers of the American Academy of Emergency Medicine.
We were good friends, and we started to teach at that course, and during a weekend we went on the mountains.
So the three of us went to ski and up to the mountains, and after ski we were very tired and drinking some sambuca.
You know, Antoine is not a good skier, and he fell down and he broke probably one of his chest ribs. And so when we went back from the slopes, we sat down and we started to talk about something. And
conceived the Mediterranean to organize a congress with our two societies joined together.
Usually in Italy, we used to invite American speakers, and the more Americans you invite, the more you are valuable.
And to call it Mediterranean Congress of Emergency Medicine.
Where Americans should come to make a open-minded confrontation with the European group.
And so we started to propose this to the societies. The society thought that it was a good idea.
Each session should be moderated by one American and one European. And we leave the door open to young people to come and to present their own work.
And we organized this first congress in Stresa that was held in Stresa in September 2001.
We had no funding at that time, so we were. We made a lot of tricks to get fundings from societies, from the universities, from the companies, and we were lucky because the idea to get together all these people seems to be very interesting.
We expected no more than 300-400 people, and we had 800 participants.
People coming from Italy were excited by the opportunity to meet the big professors without knocking at the door and waiting for a long time, you know.
People came from Australasia, from Canada, from Asia, and so on. And so it was very, very exciting.
Among them, I have to cite Professor Deleuze, who was the president at that time, who was absolutely agreeing in organizing this conference. So we started to work.
The target was to find a place on the Mediterranean basin. Of course, you can ask that Stresa was not on the Mediterranean because it is in the north of Italy. But actually, Stresa was chosen because Francesco della Corte and myself were living in Novara.
You know, after that we moved to Sitges in Spain, and after to Nice, and after to Italy in Sorrento, and after we moved to Valencia. If I can confess you, I was very, very happy also to receive that award, you know, because it's, you say, I don't like about awards, I don't like about, because it seems that, but in fact I was very happy to receive it.
The Founders Award, how they honored the three people that founded the conference. And to see it now, so many years later, just growing and just feeling the pulse of emergency medicine throughout the world. It's just such a fantastic place to be.
I had the good luck to ride back on the bus from Asclepion with Dr. Francesco della Corte and Dr. Roberto Petrino, the two of the co-founders of the conference. And I had the chance to ask them if they'd ever imagined the conference would get this big when they first started the conference. And they said, no, the goal was never to be big. The goal was just to be successful. But I think that they not only succeeded in making a successful conference, but a big successful conference.
I'm fortunate enough that I've only spent one night in a hospital since the delivery room, and that was when my youngest son was in for elective surgery. So I stayed a night in hospital being fully well, and it was a terrible night. The first experience I had was the mattress that would make an awful lot of sound together with the bed. So I ended up putting the mattress on the floor. So I slept there. And on the floor, our Swedish nurses often wear clogs. So they were running back and forth through the corridor during the night with their clogs on. So that personal experience have made me in my clinical and design work be conscious of noise in the healthcare setting.
A growing amount of research suggests that the ambient noise in society, be it airplane noise or sandblasters in the street or noise in the hospital, creates all kinds of harm. This harm ranges from causing annoyances to disturbances to anxiety to increasing blood pressure to heart attacks to serious sleep disruptions which lead to long-term infections and ultimately to distractions to the healthcare providers.
I believe that acoustics have a very important part of planning for healthcare facilities. In the United States, hospitals spend a considerable amount of time focusing on patient satisfaction and patient feedback and family feedback with regard to their experience in the healthcare settings.
We inherently are designed for quiet. We're not designed for noise. Small noises, even if we don't directly pay attention, register with our cognitive state and lead to distractions. For example, when I ask you to remember 7 digits back, if I play a small noise, I can demonstrate that you'll start forgetting a certain number of those 7 digits. If it's so loud that you actually turn your head, you might even completely forget the task.
Much feedback on the impact of noise on sleep cycles, particularly for staff working on the night shift and patients on wards at night. We received a lot of feedback from patients on privacy concerns with acoustics and being able to hear conversations concerning sensitive information being provided to other patients or to families.
We put together a project with Professor Roger Ulrich where we have looked at normal background noise situation in our trauma rooms, and then we have made trauma training scenarios in there, full packed with people, and measured what actually happens in the rooms. Then we have done an overnight modification with 4-centimeter tiles in the ceiling and around the walls about ½ meter down, and basic measurements and new trauma training scenarios. And what do we find? Well, we actually can show, when we look at the decibels, the sound pressure, and the reverberation time, that we actually, with an overnight fix of the room, actually can affect the speech intelligibility parameters of the room. And with our nurses, what did they say the day after when they came in? They said, "Wow, what has happened to this room? It feels different." They didn't know that it had been modified during the night.
When you have an open space like an emergency department, sound carries dramatically. And the cost of that is that every sound, a metallic instrument dropping, a cart wheeling with unoiled wheels, somebody shouting in pain, everybody hears it. And of course it leads to unhappiness, people get anxious, they're scared.
Hippocrates uses also music as a therapeutic together with theater and also gymnastics and physiotherapy, a holistic therapy all together. And music plays there an important role.
Putting carpeting on the floor or carpeting on the wall, or using ceiling absorbing tiles. These are all things that we've demonstrated that you can reduce the impact of the acoustic waves.
Plato uses again music as a therapeutic for psychiatric disorders and says that far the best is the Dorian music.
Since we are in Greece, we should talk about the role of the hospital as a healing space. This is what Hippocrates and the Asclepion is all about. How do we create a space that heals, that doesn't cause more illness? And so the way to do that is to create a hospital that's quiet.
We often get the question, well, could this actually be affordable? Can we actually invest this extra money into the building?
The same work you do in a quiet room versus the same work you do in a noisy room, you come out of the noisy room and feel perhaps 1.5 times more tired subjectively. You feel drained.
If someone wants to build a 10-story health facility and they don't have the money to build that facility in an optimal way, I would say and argue for only build 9 optimal floors or 8 optimal floors. Because if you do that, that facility would generate money to build another 4-story facility in a couple of years. So you would end up having 12 stories instead of building a 10-story suboptimal facility.